Hey, church fam, what an incredible Sunday service this past weekend. We had 12 people get baptized and give an incredible testimony of God's goodness in their life. As well, we had the largest Sunday morning attendance in our church history, over 280 people on Sunday. So that was amazing to be able to come together and celebrate what God was doing in the lives of those 12 individuals that got baptized. On top of that, Pastor Scott knocked that message out of the park. He did an incredible job with props included of just helping us understand the importance of going after God and letting go of the things of the world so that we can actually reach our promised land. I had a moment as I was sitting on the front row listening to Pastor Scott speak, and as he was climbing up that ladder towards the things of God, and I saw him reaching out towards the promised land, it really hit me that very, very soon, Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling are going to be going towards their promised land in Cochrane, Alberta. And I think it hit me because we don't have a ton of time left. And so as I was pondering that, I just have had this thought and this phrase in my heart and in my mind for the last little while about how can we thrive in transition. The reality is with Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling moving to Cochrane, Alberta, and some others in our church that are going to be moving with them, the reality is we're going to be in a little bit of a transition over the summer. Actually, a lot of our Queen students are heading back home for the summer too, so we're going to feel that as well. But I've thought to myself, how can we thrive in transition? The first thing that I've kind of been thinking through is we have to kind of answer the question why this transition is happening. This is a kingdom transition. This is not a negative transition. This is an incredible transition. As a matter of fact, this is the best transition that could ever happen in church life, where we get to not lose Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling, but actually sow them into the kingdom purpose of God for Cochrane, Alberta. On top of that, it is a prophetic fulfillment of a word over this church, over Impact Church Kingston, that we would be a church that plants other churches. So this is the first of not just one, but of many. This transition is a kingdom transition. We are sowing our best. And we believe that as a result, not only is Cochrane, Alberta going to be blessed, but Kingston, Ontario is going to be blessed. And we are living in a promise and a dream. And Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling are living out a promise and a dream. So it's a blessing for us to be able to come alongside and celebrate them and support them as they take steps towards the promised land for their life. In light of this idea of thriving in transition, I actually just wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you, church, just as a way to help you process through this transition and to thrive in it, because that's ultimately what my heart is for our church, not only for myself, for my own family, as we're very close to the Mortimers and we're going to miss them, but also for the church family as a whole. So the first thing is this: ask God to reveal to you His kingdom perspective. What is God's perspective about this opportunity? What does it mean to Him? Why is this valuable or important in His eyes? I think it's something we need to think about. The second thing is this: allow yourself time to process your emotions with key people in your life. The reality is there's going to be some level of a sense of loss. They're incredible people. They have sowed their lives into this community. They have invested in us. They have poured into us. They have inspired us. They have activated us. They have done all of those things. And so there is going to be a sense of loss. It's normal and it's completely okay to feel that. We will miss them tremendously. So I want to encourage you, church, to process through your thoughts and your feelings. The third thing is this: connect with the Mortimers and tell them how they have influenced your life. I think one of the most important things we can do for them is to tell them, not just send a little note. Maybe that's what you feel to do. That's awesome. Maybe you want to send them a text. That's awesome. But I want to encourage you, let them know in person. Maybe it's after a church on a Sunday morning. Maybe it's taking them out for coffee or a tea. Maybe it's swinging by their house one day and just saying, hey, this is what you've done in my life, and this is how you've impacted my life, and just thank you for that. The fourth thing is this: we need to pray for Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling as they prepare. The reality is there's a lot of details that they're working through, including the sale of their house and buying a new house and the transition with their family and getting their girls settled in this transition. There's a lot of things that we need to be praying about. So I want to encourage you, church, pray for them. Never underestimate the power of prayer. We have an amazing God who responds to his people who pray big, bold prayers of faith for them. The fifth thing is this. Remind yourself of what hasn't changed. The reality is we're still going to have church. We're still going to be here. There's a lot of great things happening, and God is doing amazing things within the city of Kingston and through Impact Church. The reality is we have a church filled with incredible people who are a blessing, and it can be a blessing in your life just the same way that you can be a blessing in their life. Never forget that, church. The sixth is this. Take notes about this time of transition and pass along the lessons you've learned. I cannot say that enough. The reality is we always go through things so that we can learn God principles so that we can then pass those on to others who are going through the same thing. The reality is many people across the world go through transition. Some of us do it well, some of us don't do it so well. But God's heart for our church is that we would thrive in transition. So I want to encourage you, church, to lean into what is God saying to you in this transitional time, and what can you now pass on to others to encourage them and inspire them to live for God in their sphere of influence. The seventh thing is this. Choose to get closer to your church family and live out God's purpose for your life. The reality is transition can kind of make you feel a little uncomfortable. But I want to encourage you, church, be all in. Get involved. Get involved in community. Join a small group. Get on a serve team. Come to a community connection. Come to the family feast at the end of this month. Make a choice to get involved in the church, to become a part of the life of the church, not just to be a spectator, but to be a participator in what God is doing in kingdom purposes through Impact Church. The reality is this is going to be a bit of a unique season for us. Transition's never easy, but I believe God's heart for us is that we would thrive in transition and be as successful as possible as we cheerlead Pastor Scott and Pastor Carling into the promised land for their life. Bless you, church, and we'll see you Sunday.